It was like freedom of religion and freedom of speech, especially freedom of expression as it pertains to spirituality, was attacked the entire trial.
You can't just defame someone and slander someone and ruin their life and say, oh, it was my freedom of religion. Law trumps religion most of the time. Like, spectral evidence isn't allowed in court too. Like, literally since the Salem trial, it was banned from the courts. So Ashley constantly trying to bring in spectral evidence is like a just complete ignorance of the law. Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Florio. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. So this is a small follow-up video. As you guys may or may not have seen, maybe you're new to my channel, maybe you've already been here for a while. I did a big long deep dive on Ashley Gillard, the TikTok psychic who was accusing Rebecca Schofield of the Idaho 4 murders. You know, it was all defamation case. She was found liable in the civil suit. Rebecca won that against Ashley. And then recently, last month, like a few weeks ago or so, the case for like the trial for the damages was held. And they found that Ashley would have to pay $10 million, which is huge. And I did take a look at and watch coverage done by Atozi, and he was there like live for the trial. So he has a few live streams. I did watch through them as well. And there's another person that was there too that he did shout out. Her YouTube is Killer Cafe too. So I'll put everything below as well. Atozi says he's going to be doing a follow-up video eventually on this because like he has tons of notes. He was like transcribing stuff, so I got to like hear, and you guys can go check out his lives, so you get to hear like some of the dialogue and everything that happened during the trial. I do find it interesting. It is something definitely you should check out if you're curious. But at the end, he was actually explaining in his videos that the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case was like the only other case for like defamation that like has such a huge payout or something like that. I don't know. I feel like there was other ones, but that's what Atozi was saying at the end. So I'm not sure, or at least I think he was trying to say like this is on the same level as the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard case. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. Okay, so I did watch his stuff, and I did start watching through Ashley's TikToks because since all this has happened, Ashley has been crashing out on TikTok, of course, because even during this whole trial, she like during this whole time that she was getting sued, she wouldn't stop with the TikToks. Like she could not stay away from social media. She continues to dig herself into a deeper hole. I did watch a few of them. I figured what we'll do is I'll kind of flip through them here with you guys, see if there's anything that kind of stands out we can talk about. There is one thing that I do find kind of interesting, and my friend who's a lawyer, you know, he's the guy that usually helps us out with everything. I did run this past him, and he said that this is very strange, and I asked him, you know, what would happen. Okay, we'll get to it when we get to it, but he is asking around to some of his other lawyers, friends who do like more civil stuff like this, and he's going to see if he can answer some of my questions around it. But I'll just tell you guys what I sent him, and then hopefully he gets back to me before this video comes out. If not a big deal. I think you guys can kind of get the gist of where I'm coming from when I explain it. As well, I'm going to be attaching this video to, I recently did I'm still working on a series where we're going through all the different types of cults that are out there. And I do find that Ashley is a good example of this influencer-led stuff. And where I want to kind of link this in and want to explain it is Ashley, yes, she is obviously discredited, and everyone knows that she was making this stuff up as a psychic. But the reality is people believed her. At the time, people believed her, and that did damage to other people involved in this case, like Rebecca, where people were assuming that Rebecca was guilty because a psychic said so. And Ashley is not the only psychic on TikTok who's doing crap like this. Even they're on TV doing this stuff. They're on Facebook, YouTube, whatever. And so I wanted to really kind of link this back into my last video. If you watch about cult of personality, this is a good example of another cult of personality. I did talk about some case studies in that. I talked about Teal Swan and Andrew Tate and actually North Korea, because it's like a perfect example too. Ashley Gillard, this is another example. This would be like one that you you can look at from like the spiritual angle. So like, you know, people that are kind of acting as spiritual gurus, psychics, whatever it may be, this is where things lead them to, because people follow them like a cult, you know, and everyone did believe Ashley. Well, not everyone, but she had a big following and they were all believing her, and they were in comments talking about how, oh, wow, yeah, this is really, you've really got answers here, blah, 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 blah. And I show some of those clips as well in my original video. I'm not going to like refer too much to the past because I did do like a 3-hour deep dive on this, so I'll link everything as well. But I just kind of want to show you guys the link here to a cult of personality. And this is where, as I'm exploring this personality, as I'm exploring this cult video where I'm doing all the different kinds of cults, we're kind of deep diving into all of them. I'm realizing, and over the last few months, I would say even more, everything in life is a belief structure. And we can link everything back to cult dynamics, because cults themselves, it's all a belief structure. So I think it's really important for us to kind of like learn about this stuff and understand the human psyche around these things. You know, people leave comments on my videos like, oh yeah, Sylvia Brown, total fraud, but you're wrong about Tyler Henry. And it's like, they're all doing the same crap. Like, this isn't real, you know? A bunch of people tend to believe these people and follow them, and it is a cult of personality until they finally get discredited. And it's like over and over, time and time again, psychics are being discredited and proven that they're it's not true and they're lying. And then all it takes is another psychic to come out on TikTok or whatever, be featured on TV, and then people jump right back in again. So I do find it interesting, the psychology around this stuff. And this is a perfect example of the cult of personality and how social media, this whole thing with Ashley destroyed lives. She destroyed Rebecca Schofield and her family's lives. And actually, if you watch Atosi's videos too, like Rebecca goes into detail about how she's affected. She has PTSD. She has all these issues. She's scared for her kids. She wasn't able to kind of work more in her career because she was constantly having to dodge questions or like answer questions around this stuff that Ashley was making up. Ashley ruined lives. And the fact that people were watching and supporting Ashley in the comments, and then people started calling and harassing Rebecca and threatening Rebecca, like that is where these cults of personality with influencers, psychics, whatever it might be, this is where it ends up. And we keep repeating the same pattern, and it's kind of a mess. So I do think that it's important for us to discuss it, because this is where things, they could have ended up worse. Like it could have, Ashley could have inspired some like weirdo psycho who may have shown up and done something to Rebecca and her family. Ashley's lucky that it ended, at least at this point here. But really, it's like, it shouldn't have even happened. It shouldn't have even gotten to this. But this is what happens when the people give these personalities power, and that sort of links into the cult of personality and what comes with it. So let's do a little bit of a TLDR of sort of what happened with this. Just a few key points that I want to discuss from Atosi's notes from the trial. A few things that were interesting from the trial. Rebecca would be the plaintiff, and Ashley is defense, because Rebecca is the one suing Ashley for defamation, slander, damages, like all the things, right? And I will link a news article I found too below, because I'm going to refer to that in a minute here. So a couple key things I found interesting that Rebecca's lawyer brought up here. So the lawyer was trying to prove malice and like forethought, sort of like Ashley's intentions were not to help solve the case, it was to make Ashley famous, like in reality. And I thought that they did a pretty good job actually playing this out. So here's the thing, this was just a trial to work out damages. Ashley already is found guilty, but whatever the civil thing, I think it's libel or something in civil. So like Ashley was still trying to prove that Rebecca is still the murderer, still the orchestrator of the murder, even in this trial, which was just about working out the amount of money for damages. It wasn't about the guilt of anyone. Anyway, that was already figured out like last year in 2025. Okay, Okay, so I did find this interesting though. They did explain that Ashley, she made her TikToks first accusing Rebecca, and then the lawyer asked Ashley, when did you report your findings as a psychic to police? And it was like, I think it was like a couple months or 6 months or something, or no, I think it was a couple months after, no, a couple weeks, because everything was kind of resolved in 6 weeks. I didn't make a direct note of the timeline for this one, but it wasn't like she did the TikTok first, and then they talked about how she was hashtagging all the TikToks. Every TikTok she did hashtagged Rebecca's full name and the Idaho 4 and all this other stuff, right? So like Ashley was trying to build a following off of this. If she just cared about solving the murder and helping out, then she would have called the police when the cards told her this and reported it, but she didn't for like a few weeks. Then the lawyer went on to also then ask Ashley, before you accuse someone of something, you should get proof of it. And then Ashley was trying to say that she couldn't get proof because she reached out to places and they wouldn't give it to her because she's not law enforcement. And then she was trying to make a case saying that her TikToks were to get law enforcement to look into Rebecca, which they did, by the way, and they did clear Rebecca, but Ashley doesn't care about that. But here's the thing that the lawyers point out. They're like, when you tried to subpoena Facebook and this and this and that, like she was trying to subpoena everywhere, she was trying to do FOIAs and things. They explained the first time that Ashley reached out to subpoena, I think Facebook was first. It was 2 years after she first accused Rebecca. So she only did it though because of the lawsuit. So like they're like, you never actually made an effort to confirm or deny your psychic visions, right? And I thought that was really good that they pointed that out. Like Ashley clearly didn't actually start looking for proof or anything of that nature until like after a lawsuit was already in process. So she just did it to try to protect herself. The next thing on the list is Ashley. She is a veteran and she is on disability for PTSD. And Ashley seemed very upset, and I did notice this in some of her TikToks. She seems very upset that Rebecca has been diagnosed with PTSD when Rebecca hasn't seen anyone die in front of her or something like this. I think she's angry because it seems like she's angry because like the bar for it is probably pretty high in the military, I would assume, because to get on pension, like, you know, disability pension, which is what Ashley's on, you've got to prove anything disability, like you've got to like jump through hoops a lot. So it seemed like Ashley was upset about this, and she kept trying to quote back to the DSM-5 and explain that Rebecca doesn't have PTSD because she never witnessed a death. But she has PTSD because she was being accused of actually killing somebody in a TikTok constantly. Like there was tons of TikToks, by the way, there's hundreds of them. And it was all linked to a murder that happened like 10 minutes away from Rebecca's home. So yeah, she got scared. And then apparently then they went on to explain too in this trial that Rebecca and her family, they were living in Boston during the time of the I think they said it was the Boston Marathon. You know, remember there was that like big attack that happened and everyone was going crazy and people were like vigilante justice stuff. And so that was like bringing back their memories of that. And they were getting really freaked out that something was going to happen to them. And that's totally understandable. I totally get that. As well, Ashley kept trying to make a note about this. And Ashley does bring this up in her TikToks that because Rebecca had family and friends there, and because Rebecca had family and friends there for her through this whole process, therefore she doesn't have any like mental anguish. Like it was such a silly argument. She's like, well, you have family and friends, so like people didn't leave you, so you're fine. And then she's like, well, you know, you didn't lose out on work, you actually got promoted at work, so you're fine. But then they're explaining Rebecca's a professor, so she writes papers. Usually this is what happens in academia. They write papers, they write books, and Rebecca has done that. Then they'll go and do speeches, like talks or whatever, different conferences and stuff. You know, it's the whole thing with the, if you guys are familiar with it, you know what I'm talking about. So what ended up happening is Rebecca was explaining she stopped writing papers, she stopped pushing more of her goals and interests as a professor in history, which she has a very unique thing that she's into, and I do discuss it in my last video too. But essentially she kind of works on looking at the LGBTQ from like the beginning start of America during like pioneer and Wild West days essays and stuff, and she talks about like the history and the socioeconomic or social, not socioeconomic, social studies kind of aspect and the psychology aspect of it. It's very interesting. So she's written books and papers and stuff. So what ended up happening is Rebecca stopped working on that subject because she was too scared to go to conferences and events. She was scared that people might show up there. She was scared of what would happen to her, her family, or anyone who was attending the conference if she was there. So Ashley thinks that just because Rebecca got one promotion during this time, then her career wasn't affected. It's like, no, her career was affected. And for all we know, that promotion, because apparently Rebecca was really freaked out about teaching as well, because she had every new group of students, she had to explain to them that she's not a murderer. That's stressful. That's a lot. So like, who knows? This promotion could have even been to get her out of the classroom, kind of like, so that she doesn't have to teach too many classes, just to give her a break. You know what I mean? But like, Ashley's then like, well, you had an understanding boss, therefore you didn't miss out on any career stuff. You didn't miss out on anything because everyone in your life was supportive and understanding. No, that's a pretty broad, stroke. What was it? I can't think of the words right now. But anyways, like, she was just like, because you have friends, you are not, you don't have mental illness. Like, it was the silliest thing ever. And meanwhile, Rebecca's like on the stand and she's like crying and she's clearly upset about all this, especially seeing all these TikToks showing up in the courtroom. Like, Rebecca was having like a physical reaction, and Tozy was explaining. She was very like upset, and like he could see it. Ashley, during this whole thing too, she was very cold. She was not remorseful. She very just like, I don't know what the word is. Anytime she had like a little bit of like, she thought that she had a gotcha, she would like get really prideful and boasty, kind of have a really bad attitude. She was actually turning as well on this like therapist and getting like really mean to her and really angry at her. And again, I think it has something to do with being diagnosed with PTSD from military therapists versus like private therapists, anyway. Oh, and then Ashley was saying that because they didn't lock their door all the time, like they lived in a safe neighborhood, and after Ashley did these TikToks, they locked their door, they had to get security system installed, all this other stuff. They had to come up with like a plan for picking up their kids from school because they were scared that something was going to happen to their kids too. Like, Rebecca did have threats that were sent to her, right, before Ashley was discredited. So Ashley essentially says that, well, everyone, has to have locks on their doors. Everyone has a security system in their house. That doesn't prove anything. It's like, well, some people live in a good neighborhood. They don't have to worry about these things. And because of your TikToks, like, it's like she wasn't understanding during the whole thing that the causation here was her TikToks. Like, she made those TikToks. She ruined this family's life, and she just doesn't seem to care. Okay, so that's sort of like the summary from Tozy stuff. I know I'm like really summarizing it, sort of paraphrasing stuff. You can go check out his streams. I will link everything as well below. And, if you want to learn more about Ashley in this case, like I said, go watch my original video. I go into a lot of detail. It is a deep dive. It's like 3 hours. It's very detailed. I go into a lot of stuff. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to take a look at the TikToks that Ashley did. We'll take a look at them together, and I'll end up including stuff I think that's only kind of relevant or interesting that we can kind of talk about a little bit. And this will sort of be our hopefully final update on the Ashley Gillard story. All right, so let's take a look at some TikToks together. I'll see what I end up including. I'm going to try to like not include too much stuff because it's a lot. She made like 50 parts or something as her crash out. And there's some other videos too where she's like bragging about still doing tarot or something. I don't know. Let's take a look at them together and see if anything interesting pops out, and I'll add it to this video.
This $10 million verdict is so ridiculous and so large that I have to talk about this. I can't be silent. So my first question is about juror number 5, who works as an attorney for a firm that works with Stowe Reeves, which is the firm representing Schofield. He also had cases in the past where he worked directly with Schofield's attorney. So how did they get him on the list of jurors, or how did he get on this list? First of all, and second of all, he should have been excused for cause, because obviously he's going to be biased if he is a partner with Schofield's attorneys in many other cases, and currently his firm.
I did find a news article that did confirm one of the guys on the jury. I don't know if he necessarily works the firm, but he was currently working on a case with the same attorney that was representing Rebecca. And I did find it odd. So at first I thought Ashley was maybe just making something up because, I mean, she just makes stuff up. But I ended up confirming it through a news article. So if it is true, so I ran it past my lawyer, my friend who's a lawyer who helped us out with all this stuff. And essentially, like, he's like, no way. Like, if it was one of his cases that he was dealing with, he would have gotten that juror removed, right? Even in a civil trial, he said, you get to choose your jury. It was Ashley's responsibility to go to jury selection and veto certain people. So this would be someone that she would need to veto. But I believe, from how I'm understanding, she lives in like Thailand right now, which a lot of people believe she moved there so that she doesn't get, like, she doesn't have to pay Rebecca or something. I don't know. I just want to add, she's also on military pension, so it doesn't matter if she lives somewhere else. They'll just garnish her check. And I did look into that, and that seems to be the case. And they will garnish military checks if you've been sued in a civil court and if, you know, you lost or whatever. Ashley's logic sometimes, if she moved to Thailand to escape having to pay it, I could see her thinking that that would work. Anyway, so she apparently lives in Thailand now, and that she had to actually, she flew back for the case, but like for the actual trial date, which means that she probably wasn't there for the jury selection where she should have been, because jury selection includes people that, you know, you might want to veto out. And both sides have, like, I think like 2 vetoes or something like that, and they can say this. But, and just to be clear, I'm assuming that she didn't go to jury selection, because there is a TikTok somewhere where she talks about how she flew in for the actual trial, or Tozy mentioned it, I think. So I'm just assuming that she wasn't there for jury selection, but you never know. Even at this wouldn't have even been a veto. Like, the judge should have recognized that there was a conflict of interest here, because it doesn't make sense having this guy on the jury. So anyway, I asked my lawyer about it. He said that he's going to talk to some of his other people that he knows, other lawyers that, you know, work more in this, so that he can find out exactly. Because I asked him, I'm like, if this is the case, well, this is the case. I mean, I found it in the news. It was confirmed. If Ashley wanted to appeal it, could she appeal it? Would this be enough to appeal it? And why wouldn't a judge have, like, removed that guy to begin with? And the same judge, it's the same judge that was in the original civil case that did find Ashley guilty or liable, or whatever they call it in civil. Like, Ashley lost. So it's the same judge, and that judge should have recognized that this guy works with Rebecca's lawyer, right? It seems a little bit weird. Like, she does, I'm just saying, Ashley has a point here. I still don't think that it would have mattered. Like, either way, she was gonna, she already lost. Like, it's already proven that she did commit slander and defamation. This was just about damages. This was a trial just for damages. I don't think it would have really went differently regardless if he was there. But because this juror was there, it gives an opportunity for Ashley to drag this out again some more and appeal it, I think. Are you allowed to do appeals for civil lawsuits when it's the damages part of the trial that was iffy, not the actual trial? So that's what I asked my lawyer, because he's like, this is super messy. Because I said to him, like, oh, and also another juror, which talks about, knew all about her case, watched her videos, and already had like an opinion of her. That does happen. That's pretty normal. But like that on top of this lawyer there, like, it's a little bit iffy. But I guess like Ashley's due diligence would have been that she would have had to be there for jury selection, and her not going for jury selection, does she really have a right to appeal it? Because she should have been there to actually say no and veto those people out. So it's kind of like it's a bit of a nuanced question, because it was Ashley's responsibility to be there and she chose not to. Anyway, so if my lawyer gets back to me as I'm editing this, I'm going to put in his answer. I'll like edit it in the edits. If he doesn't get back to me, if we don't have an answer for sure, anything on this, like sort of like feedback from a lawyer, then just kind of know, like, this is my thought process, and leave a comment below. Let me know what you think on that too. I'm sure there's some people that know law as well that might want to comment here too, but we got to remember this is civil, not criminal. And this was just a trial for how much damages to award Rebecca. All the other stuff was already done. Ashley was found to be, yes, liable, guilty, whatever you want to call it. So this wasn't really a trial about guilt. This was a trial about how much money does Rebecca get? My lawyer did get back to me, and 100% this case, if that's true, if this juror was there throughout the whole thing, this case is a total mess, and she will get an appeal granted just because of that. So unless there's more mitigating circumstances that we don't know about, which is totally possible, then I guess we'll be expecting an appeal case to be announced soon too. It should be interesting. Oh, and also Atozi's video, he did say that apparently military pensions can be garnished in this situation. And like she has a son. He's like an adult. Atozi said she has just created generational debt for her whole family. Right now, they might have to pay off this whole debt even after she's gone. Like that sucks. Yeah, like she really wasn't thinking stuff through. Let's listen to her kind of talk about this a little bit, just so you kind of understand. This is actually an interesting point. It's a nuanced question though too, because she wasn't there for the jury selection. I don't think that she has a good right to appeal, but you could make a case saying that the judge should have known better. So I was hoping Atozi maybe had something in there about it, because later on Ashley does do a TikTok saying that that juror ended up recusing himself after he told them about his conflict. And then it's like, well, then why don't you ask for like a new trial and stuff? So like, I don't know. I was hoping Atozi maybe was there, but Atozi did mention there were times that Ashley was there by herself with the judge and the jury, like, because she was representing herself and she was messing up a lot. But I'm thinking like it's one of those times, unless I can find something more on it. But anyway, I did find that interesting, and I did want to include that.
Firm is partnering with Schofield's attorneys in other cases as well. So it's partners, essentially. So he can't be unbiased because obviously they're friends or co-workers, partners, they work together. He should not have been a member of the jury at all, not any of the day. It was like freedom of religion and freedom of speech, especially freedom of expression as it pertains to spirituality, was attacked the entire trial. First of all, Scofield's attorney kept pointing out things like me calling myself Ashley God in my books, which does not mean that I'm your God, but that I refer to myself as Ashley God because of the Spirit of God living inside of me.
You can't just defame someone and slander someone and ruin their life and say, oh, it was my freedom of religion. Like, no, that's dumb. That's just not going to fly. Sorry, it doesn't matter. You still, law trumps religion most of the time. So like even like spectral evidence isn't allowed in court too. Like literally since the Salem trial, it was banned from the courts. So Ashley constantly trying to bring in spectral evidence is like a just complete ignorance of the law. And, you know, if she wants to hop on and accuse people of being murderers, you know, with her psychic crap, then she needs to realize that she's opening herself up to a libel suit and stuff. Like, you know, she should have thought that through. This is on her. Again, it's yet another example of Ashley not actually putting in the effort to protect herself.
In her closing statement, she asked the jury to punish psychics for our beliefs. She said psychics or whatever can say whatever they want as long as they say they believe it.
There is other instances where psychics have been held to the law and actually charged with something. You can check out Bob Nygaard. He has a bunch of cases. I actually do want to cover his case that he did, the one famous one that he did. But it was around psychics that were committing fraud, like, you know, fleecing their clients. And we haven't had many cases of psychics just accusing someone of something and being held, you know, to responsible for their actions and their words. And I agree with the lawyer, though. Like, we need to see more of this. Like America, Canada, like North America, we don't really have too much precedent here for that stuff. But like you go to like Italy, for example, and like psychics are illegal. Like it's illegal to do this stuff here in Italy. I mean, there's some nuance to it. You guys can check out Spaghetti alla Paranormali's channel. But essentially, like they wouldn't get away with this in Italy. Like she would actually be held, I think, criminal is what he told me before. So anyway, she can be upset about that, but I mean, the lawyer's kind of right. Psychics shouldn't be doing this stuff. There's also that other tarot reader that I cannot stand. I can't remember his name, but he says, oh, this is all for entertainment purposes only, but he only covers like all these horrible cases of murders and kids being hurt and like all this stuff. And it's like, you're like murder peddling? Like it's weird. Like you're making, and that's what Ashley did. She's like, oh, I'm a psychic detective. I'm solving crimes. It's like, no, you're taking advantage of somebody who died horrifically somebody and you're trying to make money off of them and get famous off them. So yeah, like you should be held accountable for that. It's gross. It's gross.
So essentially, our beliefs can be limited and we cannot express ourselves fully based on our beliefs.
Ashley still isn't understanding this isn't about freedom of speech. This isn't about expressing yourself freely. This is about like not accusing somebody of murder or of crimes when they never actually did it. You have freedom of speech, but in America, you have freedom of speech, but you also have laws about slander and libel and defamation. And that is what you're doing here. And you think that just because you're psychic or you think that you're psychic or whatever, that you aren't held to these laws in the country that you live in. Such a disconnect from stuff. And then she is smarter than this. She has degrees, like multiple degrees from college as well. She should understand the nuance of this. I don't know. I feel like she's just so lost in this like spiritual world that she has completely lost reality here.
It's because she also had no damages. There was testimony that from her boss that she was promoted one to three times.
Ashley, you did so much damage to this family and you're like, oh, well, she got a promotion. It's fine. It's like, no, like you're just so disconnected and just like showing no remorse for what you did. You're still not recognizing what you did was wrong. And that's kind of like messed up, to be honest. Like, how can you call yourself a psychic who's, usually psychics have empathy and stuff when you're acting like this? Like, you don't understand how you've hurt people.
The police did not believe me. The school did not believe me. Her family and friends did not believe me. So she received no repercussions from.
There were students and there were general public who were in your comments on your TikToks and who were sending Rebecca death threats because, also I forgot to mention, if you didn't know, Ashley shared Rebecca's, all of her contact information, her profile from the school, had her email address. She shared her phone number. She shared her picture. Ashley shared all of this in the TikTok when she accused Rebecca. So she made it easy and accessible for anyone to have this information and then start harassing Rebecca. So like, just because some people who know her well didn't believe you doesn't mean that the general public didn't harass her because of you.
Her mental health professional was so senile. She testified in court that I physically unalived, and she said, we use the right word in court, Rebecca Schofield. And I'm like, she's right there.
Atosi went on, like, he actually took notes during this examination of the therapist. For one, Ashley had her on the stand for like 2 hours or something, asking her the same thing over and over in a circle. Like, she just kept going because she wasn't getting the answer she wanted. So she was just trying to ask in different ways. There should have been more objections done there. The judge ended up having to step in at some point there too. Like, she gets real upset about this. And I honestly think it's because she's military and she has PTSD from war. She doesn't believe that Rebecca's PTSD is real, which it is. She wasn't senile or anything like that. Like, none of this is accurate, what she's talking about here. And she wasn't like, the therapist never said like, you actually murdered Rebecca. She was saying that like what she did in the TikToks was like, it's like experiencing watching someone die in front of you, or the fear of you going to die because of the stuff said about you in a TikTok. Like, Ashley's just like so disconnected. She doesn't understand the connection here. I don't know. Anyway, it's just silly. The therapist stuff lasted for a while as well. I'm going to skip through some parts too, where Ashley just keeps reiterating the same point over and over again. And yes, she made this is like a 20-part series, and each TikTok's like 1 minute, and she's doing this to get views. Like, this is a choice to do this like in this style because it goes over well on TikTok ever since the who the F did I marry or whatever thing happened. And Ashley was doing this with the Idaho thing. She's doing multiple parts. Each part is like very short, and she just repeats the same stuff for most of it.
Let's talk about juror number 13. First, she knew about the case prior to being on the jury. So she already had bias because her daughter has showed her TikTok videos with me making my claims about Rebecca Schofield. 2, she then stated that she was Catholic and could not be impartial because she doesn't believe in witchcraft and her religion does not, she's biased based on that religion. Then she recanted and stated, oh, well, she can be fair and impartial and make a decision. But this is after she already admitted that she had a bias.
And the way that she's talking about this juror here too is if the juror was talking about whether they had bias, and this makes me think, okay, Ashley was there for jury selection. Each side gets to, like, they have like a no questions asked, like no, they can be like no to this person. They have to save their no. Like they can't do it once they've interviewed everyone. They have to like do it in the moment. Honestly, this one isn't so bad. This would be a normal veto, or like if you ran out of vetoes, this would be someone that would end up on the jury because the other side, it works for them. This actually isn't very, like, this is ethical, right? If they kept her. The guy who apparently is working other cases with that same lawyer, that one is the one I'm like, I don't understand how that one went by. But this is pretty normal, and it's her responsibility to veto that person. So like, why, if you were there for that jury selection, then why didn't you veto her if you had an issue with her?
I'm about to press charges against Atozi. He's been calling my phone for 3 years. Since the onset of this case, he's been calling and harassing me by phone. He was harassing me in person after court on Thursday.
Okay, Tozy has not been harassing her. I think he contacted her a few times to get her side because he's trying to report on this. So he's trying to give her a chance to speak and tell her side of it. When we reach out and do that and then people avoid it, it doesn't look good for this person who's avoiding it. Like there's even another video I started working on a while ago I gotta get back to, and the people got back to me. I sent them my list of questions and they haven't responded to me because they don't have good answers, I don't think. So like, it doesn't look good. Like when you don't respond, Tozy's trying to get both sides of the conversation. Also, he was not harassing her or stalking her or anything at the trial. He even said he was there taking notes. There's another YouTuber that was there too with him that can attest to this. She saw him when she was in the middle of questioning somebody, and she turned around, she realized he was there, and she had like a physical, like you could tell she was upset, and then she tried to move on as best she could. But it's like, that's not stalking you. This is like the public can come to trials. He wasn't like stalking you when you left the courtroom. He wasn't harassing you for any comment or anything. Like, she's over exaggerating all this stuff about Atozi, and no, she won't be able to sue him. That's just not gonna, he's just reporting the news.
The things that she was saying about her were actually true for me. She was saying that, pretending like she didn't have support, but everybody was there to obviously support her. She had lawyers, a team of lawyers, family, friends, colleagues, the general counsel at the University of Idaho, the union even paid for her attorney's fees. Several unions sent her money, and people across on the GoFundMe also sent her money. So she had tons and tons of support. Meanwhile, I was there alone. No attorneys. I was there alone. No family, no friends, no supporters, all alone. So the scenario that she was trying to paint for herself in order for her to receive money for damages was actually the scenario for me.
And this TikTok is wild, and this is what I did want to include. You created this whole mess. This is your fault. If your friends stopped talking to you because of what you did, because you acted like a psycho online, if your family's not talking to you and not there to support you, like, this is your fault. This is on you. It is absolutely ridiculous for her to compare herself to Rebecca in this manner and do a poor me thing when she created this freaking mess. Like, this is so ridiculous. You can tell just how self-centered this woman is, which then goes to, like, obviously she just wanted fame and attention.
But does the jury expect for me to give my income that I received from PTSD from being a combat veteran and give it to Rebecca Schofield, who's pretending to have PTSD from a TikTok video?
And I guess last statement on that, like, she is upset that Rebecca doesn't have PTSD from the same situation that she has PTSD from, clearly. But again, you decided to do this, Ashley. You decided to accuse somebody with no proof. Whatever consequences you face, whatever money you lose, this is on you, Ashley. Don't be blaming other people for your poor choices.
I also learned that I don't have to show up for people. I don't have to put myself on the line for people. If I believe that someone is a murderer or someone did something, I don't have to put myself out there so much to get justice for people who will never, ever show up for me. So I've learned I don't have to put myself out there like that.
Nobody asked you for this help. Were you expecting the victims to show up? Like, what do you, like, this is insanity. Like, she's so delusional, man. Honestly, her family should be doing something about this. Like, she does not think straight. I don't know what the hell's going through her mind.
Regarding, like, people close to me, I also learned that they aren't really there for me as well. So I learned that I feel alone, but I've also learned that I am.
Of course, like Ashley, you've made yourself a pariah. The entire world knows about this. Of course, like people in your life don't want to be attached to this crazy, insane crap. Like, what did you expect?
First of all, there are options. Again, there's the option to appeal. There's motions that had to be made prior to that. Don't expect the court to be fair. It hasn't been fair so far. Maybe the Court of Appeals can be fair.
Yeah, and this is where she talks about doing an appeal, and I am kind of curious, like she might have a case for it because of that one juror. I guess it kind of depends, like the details about that, which are unclear, because I'm not going to take everything she's saying as like word for word, because she has bent the truth on what happened on the stand with a lot of people as well. So I don't know if she's planning to appeal it or whatever, but we'll see. She does go on to say something, I don't know if it's true. If I remember, I'll ask my lawyer friend, that apparently the state has like a limit of how much you can actually sue someone for. So even though it's like $10 million, it'll actually like knock it down to like $1 million or something. I don't know, something like that. See, I guess, how much she drags this out. I mean, it's going to be iffy on whether Rebecca gets the money, but I think it's just like a good win in general for, the psychics need to stop doing this crap, to be honest.
If Rebecca Schofield can claim PTSD from a video and receive millions of dollars from it, then everybody who watched George Floyd be killed on video, who watched all of these videos that's online of people being killed, all of us who watch those videos can also then claim that the PTSD that we have or whoever has is from that video and can be awarded millions of dollars.
Yes, if you wanted to sue them, you would have a case to be awarded money. Yeah, if you saw those videos unwillingly, yes, you would have a case for it. You got to sue them, you got to take them to court. But yes, you have a case for it, of course. Like the logic is, yes, you can sue them. Try it and see what happens. Like take it to the courts. It wouldn't be frivolous, no. Okay, and then we're not going to listen to her, but she's crashing out. She's saying that it's unfair that she has to pay money because she can't provide evidence that what she said was true. Like, oh, I lied about somebody and I ruined their life and they sued me and they won, and it's unfair that I have to pay them for the damage that I caused their lives. Oh my God, imagine that.
They're working very hard to silence me. They sent an email to the judge and the judge's assistant, basically trying to request for them to silence me.
Okay, now she's complaining. She's been contacted to stop talking about Rebecca. She already has lost a case, like libel, slander, whatever. And at this point, the judge is saying, like, stop talking about Rebecca. Stop doing this. You're digging your hole bigger, because they can then go after her for harassment if she doesn't stop. They can go after her for criminal charges if she doesn't stop talking about Rebecca. Even during this whole civil trial, she was still releasing the Idaho 4 case revamped, and she was doing a multi-part series where she was still accusing Rebecca of everything. That's where this is going to lead soon, is if she doesn't stop harassing Rebecca online, then she's going to be charged criminally, and facing criminal charges, like she's going to run into a lot of issues with that. So like, she needs to stop ruining her whole life. She needs to just stop. And I looked into this. I may be wrong, but when I looked into it, if she gets criminal charges, if she gets a felony, if she ends up going to jail for it, even if it's like 30 or 60 days, I think it's like more than 30 or 30 minimum or something, her disability pension from the Army will actually get cut, like, for life. So she could end up losing between like 10 and 40% of her pension if she gets arrested on felony charges and ends up like in jail. So like, she really needs to stop doing this. All right. And then she's just crashing out, saying that all this stuff is wrong with the judge, Rebecca's lawyer. She was controlling the judge. And I don't believe her, because like, even the stories of Atosi took notes. He was transcribing the trial, and it's totally different from what she says in this part series. So like, she, again, I mean, we know she lies. So she's lying about a lot of stuff. So it's hard to believe her. And if there is any semblance of truth or any issue with that trial, it's going to be difficult, because she's like the boy who cried wolf at this point, and no one's really going to take her seriously. So she kind of spins out on this kind of narrative.
Rebecca Schofield had everything on her team. She had lawyers, a team of lawyers. She had money from the teachers union, from the federal teachers union. Several unions gave her money for her lawyer fees. She had money from GoFundMe, 22 some $1,000. She had witnesses, a team, like at least what, 7 or 8 witnesses testifying on her behalf, even though some of them failed in cross-examination. She had family and friends to support her. She had her job to support her. She had the case in Idaho of her peers, of state of her peers, not my peers. I didn't have witnesses. I didn't have lawyers. I didn't have money given to me. I didn't have a state. It wasn't even in my state. I didn't have a jury of my peers.
All of this is your own doing. People aren't in your life because you have done this. You have made this mess. This is all your problem. And, maybe you should have thought of that before you started accusing random people of being murderers. Just a thought. So yeah, this is where her crash out kind of goes. Like, she's just spinning on this. Like, I'm being treated poorly. It's unfair. It's like, you caused this. Like, you chose to do this. Like, it's insane the way that you are just trying to put the blame on anybody else but yourself. Which, God, like, no wonder no one's in your life. No wonder you have no friends or family sticking up for you. Like, I wouldn't be hanging around. Like, people like this, I would drop, because it's like, no, you need to like take some responsibility for your actions. Like, even just show some freaking remorse. And she still doesn't. She still thinks that Rebecca is the killer. So, and it's interesting because if we take a look at the last video that I did and we look at Darvo, Ashley is displaying Darvo here. Dee deny responsibility. She takes no responsibility. She denies that any of this is her fault. She was just trying to help solve a case. She thinks that she's correct in all this. Then attack, and that's credibility as well, attack credibility. So again, attacking Rebecca. I understand she's harping on the juror 5 or whatever that works with Rebecca's lawyer. She has a case there, but take it to appeals court. I don't think Rebecca controlled that situation. That's probably up to her lawyer to have made sure that there was no conflict of interest. So, and again, I don't think we have the whole story. Yes, there's that newspaper article that confirms about this juror, but I was thinking about it like last night. What if she interviewed for that article? What if she's lying? Because that's the only one article I found that says this, that confirms her story. So what if they interviewed her and are quoting her? And then R in Darvo, we have reverse. So reverse the roles, victim, offender as well, victim and offender. So she is the offender, but now she's reversing it to be the victim. And the sad thing is, this is just a theory of my thoughts, but Darvo is to recognize abusive behavior in people. So she fits this very well, to the point that I got a question, what is she like in real life? Is she very abusive? Is this just her normal personality? And that's why she just has no empathy and doesn't care? She fits into Darvo so well with everything that she says and how she acts towards like all of this.
My haters are so loser. They're like the bottom of the pit type losers, where they're inboxing me, telling me to unalive myself, all kind of craziness. And it's like, that's why I didn't want to be vulnerable on here, because I think they feel good when I'm vulnerable.
Girl, get off the internet. Like you are like just hot lava. Like, just get off the internet. You need to get off the internet. You shouldn't be sharing anything. You should just stop talking, because you're just digging yourself into a bigger hole. Like, what do you expect? Of course, people are mad at you. What do you expect from people? You're taking advantage of murderers and missing people to make yourself famous, because you did this before the Idaho 4. And I do discuss that in my video. I go into a lot of detail about all the other cases that she covered too. Like, she takes advantage of people who have been brutally murdered or like missing, like whatever. Like, it's so dumb. I don't understand people that do this and then they complain when they get held accountable for this stuff. Well, the rest of her TikToks is just like her wandering around Thailand and doing all that crap. So I guess we'll see what happens next. Sadly, I think that she probably is going to appeal it. She might have a good case for an appeal, and it's sad because I think Rebecca like wants this to be over, but I understand she wants her to be held liable after all the stuff that she's been through. Like, yeah, you're going to see it through to the end. But Ashley did stop talking about Rebecca over the last few days or week or so. So maybe she actually started listening to the judge, because that's the thing. Like, when I did look this up before, if Ashley didn't stop talking about Rebecca after all that was said and done, she would be charged criminal. Like, she would get a criminal charge. And then from there, I'm like, I don't really really know how it works in the US. Like, do they lose their pension or anything if they get criminal charges? Does anything like that happens? Like, already, apparently, Atosi said, I have to double check, but Atosi said that a military pension in the US can get garnished for a lawsuit. So I don't know. The VA disability, if a veteran is convicted of a felony and if they are in prison for more than 60 days, they can lose 20% or more of their pension or whatever, their military benefits. It'll be limited 20% or more. Most are limited 10% is what online is saying here. Oh wait, no, this math is confusing. Hold on. Veterans rated 20% or more are limited to the 10% disability rate. For a veteran whose disability rating is 10%, the payment is reduced by 1/2. Okay, I think that's like percentage based on how much. But according to Atosi, she's getting the full like max amount that you can get. She's getting $4,500 a month, which is apparently like the highest you can get. It's like that's a pretty high bar to like prove and everything. So, which is why else I think she's upset that Rebecca got a PTSD, diagnosis so easily, because I think she probably fought for hers. But it's different when you're doing like disability pensions and stuff, right? And that's the thing though, like with the rate that she's going at, like she could end up in jail if she doesn't stop, because she does continue to defame and slander Rebecca and everything and accuse her of being a murderer, even during this whole lawsuit thing. Oh, Miss Kitty's washing her paws. I'm going to end this video here. This was the update on Ashley Gillard. Hopefully we don't have too much more update from her and she just kind of realizes that she messed up and finds a way to atone. Do go check out Atosi's channel. Hopefully he'll have a video with more detail as well there too for you guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. We're going to be discussing more on my cult series and we're going to be doing the interview with Susan Gerbic as well. Right before we go, thank you to all the members and patrons. As always, your support means everything. I really do appreciate you guys are still hanging on through everything for sure. And also, if you guys can support it all with a like, comment, share, a hype. Comment and hypes are the best that you can do to help out any YouTuber that you enjoy with all the 2026 algorithm changes and stuff. They're really looking for comments most of all. They want engagement going on the videos. So any engagement that you can throw down on videos really does help out all of us if you want to help out and do that. But yeah, otherwise, thank you guys for coming and checking out these videos this week. And I will talk to you guys in the next set of videos. All right, I'll see you later. Bye, guys. Fat cat.